This is J. Krishnamurti's second discussion with teachers and students at Brockwood Park, 1974.
What should we talk about?
What does it mean to be serious?
What does it mean to be serious? We were talking last time we met here, about compulsion. And different forms of persuasion. If you have thought about it at all, and have gone into it in yourself, which is to be serious, you must have found how any form of compulsion or persuasion, propaganda, does distort one's perception. Have you noticed that? And this distortion is one of the factors, I think, of being hurt. We hurt the tissues of the brain and its cells through drugs, through drink, through excessive stimulation, through abrupt maturity. That is, the brain cells are hurt that way.
Excuse me, sir, what do you mean by abrupt maturity? Forced maturity?
Forced maturity. Which is what is going on in the world. And perhaps here also. And there is also psychologically being hurt inwardly. And so there is an interrelationship between the psychological hurts and the hurt that the brain tissues receive. There is interrelationship between both. And we are discussing this. I'm not laying down the law. And is it possible not to be hurt at all? When we were very young, the parents hurt us by being rude, sharp remarks, by asking us to obey, conform, imitate. That authoritarian assertion. That hurts. In school, ordinary schools, we are hurt both outwardly in the brain cells and also inwardly, psychologically. Are you hurt that way? Now this is a serious talk. And he asked, what is it to be serious? To be serious implies that you apply, if you see the truth of it, directly, immediately. Go into it yourself and see if you are hurt. First, psychologically, you are hurt by a gesture, by a word, by somebody telling you some harsh truth about yourself. Or you are hurt because you think you are this and somebody comes and disturbs what you think you are. And so we gradually get hurt more and more and more as we grow older. You rely on somebody, your wife, your girl, or your boyfriend, whatever it is, you rely on somebody. You depend on somebody. And that dependence is taken away and you feel hurt. You don't question the dependence, but the taking away of that dependence hurts you. You see the difference? I lean on you, I depend on you for comfort. And when you go away, I get hurt. I never question why I depend on you. Because I'm lonely, I'm miserable, and I'm happy. I want some comfort, some friendship, and so I depend on you. And that very dependence brings about a hurt. You see what I'm talking about? Do you understand what I'm talking? Now, if you are serious, are you hurt? And therefore, you have to protect yourself. It's like having a sore thumb, and you have to protect it. And out of this protection, guarding yourself, out of this comes selfishness, self-centeredness, and neuroticism. You following all this? So if you are serious, you have to inquire into yourself and see if you are really hurt in any way. I want to be clever, and you come along and tell me how stupid I am. That hurts. I think I'm very beautiful. And somebody says, oh, you're not quite as you think you are. So that hurts. Somebody tells me something which I should be, and that all. So gradually, these hurts bring about a wall of resistance in myself. You understand? And the very center of all that is my selfishness. Are you following all this? This self-centered concern. And so gradually the walls close around you, and you cannot be open, friendly, free. So you have to find out if you are serious, and it means seriousness means that you are inquiring, looking at yourself, part of that seriousness. Not in any self-centered way, but looking at yourself. So I'm asking you, if I may, are you hurt? Have you been hurt? And if you blame others for their hurt, you understand? To say, oh, you've hurt me. That hurt is not the clarity of observation. I'll show you what I mean. You hurt me, and I blame you for it. Now, first of all, why am I hurt? You say something to me, and I'm hurt. But why am I hurt? Go on, sir, discuss with me. I am hurt because I think I am different from what you say I am. You follow? I have built an image about myself. And when you say something contrary to that image gets hurt. That image is the me, is the self, and so on. And not realizing that, I blame you for hurting me. So I'm always complaining and blaming others. You understand? Because I have built an image, a comforting, pleasurable image about myself. So, can I find out for myself the hurts I have had? That is, can I look at myself? Not grudgingly, not compulsively, because I'm forcing you to look at yourself. Not selfishly, to improve myself. But I just want to see if I have been hurt. Because this is very important. Because every form of hurt distorts our thinking, our affection, our outlook on life, our ways of behavior.
It would seem that it would particularly distort our interaction.
Yes, in relationship. So one must be very clear and see for ourselves if we are hurt. You must be hurt, obviously. Aren't you? Huh? Come on, sir, let's discuss this. Aren't you hurt? At home? By other people, by other children, by other students, by a man walking by in the street who says something ugly about you. Don't you feel hurt? Aren't you hurt? Huh? Oh, Lord. If you are, what are you going to do about it? It's like having many wounds on the body. And so the body is never healthy, vital, strong. In the same way, if you are inwardly, psychologically hurt, there is no health in it. It is always distorting factor in relationship, in action, in behavior. And so, all our relationships with others, however intimate or superficial, is never total, complete, is never true, never whole, sane. So I have to find out for myself in what way I am hurt. You understand? There are two factors. The brain, the cells and the tissues can be hurt, damaged by overstimulation, drink, drugs, with damage with tremendous sensations. And if you have observed, more and more people are seeking sensations. So brain is damaged, the cells and the tissues of the brain are damaged that way. And also psychologically, inwardly, we are hurt by so many things. We hurt ourselves when we compare ourselves with another. When we are dependent and so on and so on. Now, how am I to know that I am hurt? You understand what I'm... I want to find out if I am hurt. How shall I find out? How do you find out?
Seems pretty clear, just by being self-aware.
Huh?
In particular instances.
After the incident, you know that you are hurt?
That also, one can sometimes watch much is happening.
Do you realize what I'm asking? Huh? Come on, do you realize what I'm asking? Zeus.
Does hurt is a kind of pleasure?
No, no. Look, I say you're a fool. Doesn't that hurt you?
But I mean that's I mean by this because you said I am full, so then I'm feeling my ego. And,
No, look, when somebody says you're a fool, don't you get hurt?
yeah.
Yes. Be simple about it. Hmm? Somebody comes on and says, you're a marvelous man, boy, and that gives you pleasure. And do you know from day to day the hurts that you are receiving?
Well, in many cases, if you have received a certain type of hurt a number of times, you've got like a callus.
That's right, sir. That's right.
A lot of the time you don't quite get hurt, but your mind is moving away from and it gets just a little bit to being afraid or something.
You see, I can't proceed further unless you and I are in contact with this. You understand? If both of us are interested in this thing, you can't go very deeply into this matter. And I think it's very important never to be hurt. Then you can look at everything very clearly. Your relationship will be right. What you think will be direct, not distorted.
We get to know the people and things that hurt us and we avoid them.
Huh?
We get to know the people and the things that annoy that hurt us.
That's it, that's
and
it.
we avoid them.
That's right. We avoid people who hurt us.
We don't want to avoid that now if we're going to look at it.
That's what I'm trying to explore it with you as to get.
Having a complexity is a form of hurt too.
What?
Having a certain complexity is a form of hurt too.
What do you mean complexity? Complex, you mean? I don't quite understand what you mean complexity.
Complexity is intricate.
Sort of
Complication.
Competition?
no.
Complication. Frustration.
I think it's like a superiority complex or
Is that it? Superiority complex, inferiority complex, those are just a lot
Yes,
of words.
Yes, that's it.
You mean that?
Yes.
Why have you got the feeling that you're terribly superior? Over whom?
No, I'm saying that a complex. Is it right? The word complex.
complex.
Conflict.
You can feel terribly superior over me. I don't care. You can be. I don't mind. If you think you're terribly high-hatted and all the rest of it, you're perfectly welcome. I don't care.
I think what he means is that you acquire a complex because you've been hurt.
Aha.
That you receive a hurt and then you...
And then you develop a complex. Now, I'm just be simple about these things because it's rather complex further along. Hmm? Do you know you are hurt?
It seems like in times after it happens, that there's awareness. Not at that moment.
Yes, not at the moment, but later on, Huh? You see, but you're hurt. Now, most people, probably all of you, are hurt in different ways. You have bruises, psychological bruises. Now, how do you get rid of them? Suppose I have a couple of bruises, psychologically. What shall I do with them? I know I've been hurt. Somebody said something ugly about me to my face. I've been hurt. Somebody on whom I depended turns away from me, and that hurts me. In so many ways I've been hurt. I have half a dozen bright bruises.
Well, first you'd have to recognize that you were hurt.
I'm saying, first I recognize them. I've got those bruises. I see them. My next question is, how am I to get rid of them?
You get to look at them and examine them as they come up.
Now, I examine them. How shall I examine them? Go on, sir. Look, consider what you are saying. I say I'll examine them. Right?
Examine them without condemning them.
Yes, without condemning them. How shall I examine them? Who is the examiner that's examining them? The examiner may be the very entity that's very deeply hurt. Huh? Are you following all this? And so a hurt entity examines other hurts. You follow? And so he perpetuates the hurts. You see that?
How does he perpetuate the hurt?
Huh?
How does he perpetuate the hurt?
How do I? Look, I have several hurts. And I'm going to examine them. And I ask myself, before I examine them, who is the entity that's examining them, right? Is the entity free of hurts? If he is not free from hurts, then how can he examine the hurts? Because he himself is hurt. Are you following this, or am I being too clever?
Examine something. Projection, his idea of what the hurt was.
So to examine that picture, I must have clear eyes. I must have the right idea of proportion, depth, the quality of light, the beauty of the flower, the color. I must see it all, mustn't I, to look at that picture. But if my eyes are bruised, how can I examine them? So I must question whether the examiner is free of hurt. Now this is getting a bit complex, isn't it?
Could I look at it like this, that in the process, that the examiner may be a part of the very process that hurt is.
That's it. You go into it a little bit, you will see it for yourself. Look, let me take an example. I love you, and you don't love me. That hurts. Do you know all that? And I am hurt. I say, now I am going to examine that hurt. Who is the examiner?
Person who's in love.
The person who says, I am in love. And that person has been hurt and he's got bruised eyes or nose, whatever it is, and he's going to examine the hurts. Right? And is he capable of examining? You're following all this? Then what am I to do?
I don't think you can take that approach.
Huh?
You can't take that approach because
Then what shall I do? I'm asking.
I think the approach would have to be very much in the present and watch what's happening then and now.
Oh,
In the sense that
who is the watcher? You're only using another word, but who is the watcher?
well, the watcher in a sense cannot.
The watcher is still the hurt watcher.
No,
Right? Of course, it's obvious.
I think that's the basis. If you can make the watcher is not the hurt watcher,
Well,
the watcher. If when you're watching, if when it's happening,
No, madam, don't do, not if.
when.
No, you're just moving away from the fact. I love you, you don't love me. I am hurt. And I am going to examine that hurt. And I say to myself, before I examine the hurt, who is the examiner? Is not the examiner also hurt? A part of that hurt. So how can the part look at the other parts which are hurt? Right? So I said that there's something wrong in that approach, I leave that, right? Then what shall I do? Can I look without the entity who says, I am going to look? Can I look without the observer? This is too difficult. Look, under a microscope, you look. If you look with your prejudice, you won't see what is, right? Are you following this? Now, can you look through the microscope without any prejudice? Then you see exactly what is. Right? Now, can my mind look at the hurt without all the, say, I mustn't be hurt, I must get over it, why am I hurt? You follow? All that which is the observer, examiner, can the mind look without any past accumulation of prejudices? Are you getting this? You are learning. We are learning together this. This is another form of mathematics. Here you have to think very clearly, observe very carefully, clear-minded. Not saying, well, I am hurt and you are a wrong man to, etc., etc. Can I look? Can the mind observe the hurt without any movement of thought which has been hurt? Can you look at me who have hurt you without all the associations, all the things that have happened between you and me yesterday which has hurt you. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I can't do that if my motive is to get rid of the hurt.
If I have a motive to get rid of the hurt, why have I such a motive? Is not that very motive the origin of hurt? I want something, and you deny me what I want. That's a hurt. The motive remains, and I just want to get rid of the hurt. Huh? But the motive is the origin, the beginning of the hurt. Because I want something from you, and you refuse it. I love you, and I want you to love me, and you refuse it. You love somebody else. My motive for my loving you is that I want your friendship, your whatever it is, my motive. So, has love a motive? And so on.
Or as this questioning, this investigation, has it a motive?
I said, the moment you have a motive, you are going to be hurt.
Well, can we learn to see our motives?
Huh?
Can we learn to perceive our motives?
That here we are. I love you, and you don't love me. I'm hurt. I'm jealous. I'm angry. I'm vicious, and I become violent. All the rest of it. Because I want something from you. So do you see how any form of hurt is a detriment in relationship? Everybody's dodging my look. They get behind somebody's head.
Could one take, just for an example, it probably isn't different, but in that wanting something from somebody, there is a sort of future expectation. But if you took the example, say that a person has hurt someone you love. Now the hurt is in the past. The hurt is happened, and you can't want it undone because it can't be undone.
It's there in the past,
Yes.
right.
Could we use that situation more as an example that's wanting something?
All right. I have been hurt. That hurt is there with me. What am I to do with that hurt? You're gone, you've hurt me, and it is there like a wound. It will heal through time, but it will leave a scar. And I see any scar is destructive of relationship. It distorts vision. Now what am I to do with the past hurt? Go on, sir. Tell me what to do. It's a mathematical problem to you. Exercise your brain. What shall I do? My mother, my father, my brother has hurt me. They have gone dead. And the hurt remains very deeply. Hmm?
You try to forget.
I can't forget it. I try to forget. All right. Let's say I try to forget. How do I try to forget it? Through drink? Running away from it? Take a drug, go to church, read novels, get excited, say, I can't forget it. It is there. How can I forget?
And I know it. I see myself in the past. In the past, we cannot change anything in the past.
Can I forget it? Huh? Can you forget your hurt? No. No. So what shall I do?
Can I see exactly what is hurt?
Yes, we're looking. My brother, my father, my uncle, whatever the blasted relationships were, they've hurt me. They have said you're not as clever as your elder brother. You're a stupid boy. Be clever. You're not as nice looking as your uncle. And so on and on and on. It has hurt me. They have bruised me. And those bruises remain. Can I first of all forget them? Forgetfulness is a form of covering it up, isn't it? Sweeping the dirt under the carpet, but the dirt is still there. Right? Are you following all this? Now what shall I do? I know the reason why I've been hurt. Because I was too small. I was sensitive. I was dreamy, I was this or that. And they were the older people, ununderstanding, not sensitive, no consideration, just I was a small boy kicking around, and so on. All those are many causes, or some of the causes that hurt. And the result is, I'm hurt. It's there. I can't escape from it. If I escape from it, I may escape from it for a day or two or a week or two, but it comes back again. And I observe that hurt in my relationship. So what am I to do?
The nature of hurt is because
What?
I conform to the pattern of thinking of the person who hurt, or in general. So if I still conform to that pattern of thinking, I will still be hurt.
No, my dear Tunki, look, I'm telling you, I've been hurt by my brother.
Yes, that's...
Look at it, Tunki. Don't bring in pattern of thinking. I've been hurt by my sister, brother, uncle, aunt, whatever it is, the teacher, the boy who's cleverer than me, and so on. I've been hurt. What shall I do with it?
Accept the hurts as an actuality.
I accept it. It's there. What shall I do with what is there? Shall I cover it up? Wrap it up in cotton wool? Store it up? Lock it up? What shall I do?
My first reaction will become indifferent to it.
Beg pardon?
I'd become indifferent to it. I mean, that would be my first reaction.
You get used to it. Huh? Is that it? Knowing in my relationship to my wife, to my whoever it is, in that relation there's certain distortion going on. That may be the source of our quarrel, of our misunderstanding, our dislike, and so on, so on. So I have got that. I can't neglect it. I can't cover it up. I can't put it away from me. What shall I do?
One becomes the hurts out of necessity.
Huh?
One becomes the hurts.
Yes, I have come to that out of necessity. What shall I do? Next step.
Well, yes, I mean, it's not a solution. I mean, it's
What is the solution, I'm asking you?
Well, how is this hurt perpetuated?
Huh?
How is it perpetuated?
That one hurt brings about bad relationship, right? I'm frightened of being further hurt. So I'm guarding myself in my relationship, in my behavior, in everything I do. So I'm perpetuating that.
But if you see that that's what's happening, will that hurt continue to hurt?
I'm asking you, what shall I do?
By the example which you give about I was hurt because somebody or my brother or my father telling me that I'm a fool and...
I've told you it has hurt me.
Yes, but...
Shall I go back to my father and call him a fool too? He's dead.
No, but the fact is that I followed the pattern of thinking that I should not be a fool, which made me hurt.
I've gone into that, Tunki, old boy, I've said that. Now what shall I do?
Do I still have this sort of...
I may have several windows of the room, curtain drawn, but there is one window whose curtain I have not drawn. It is dark in there. What shall I do? It's a problem you have to solve. Now, how do you solve the problem?
See and face the hurt.
Huh?
See and face the hurt.
Are you facing it? Am I facing the hurt which my brother gave to me? Now, how do I face it? Don't tell me face it. Tell me what to do.
Look at the distortions.
Huh?
Look at the distortions that you have, that your memory has put on the hurt.
Are you looking at the distortions that you have, not that I have? Good Lord. Now, when you say look at it, what do you mean by that? How do I look at it? Am I capable of looking at it? You tell me, look at it, face it. Am I capable of facing it? Then if I'm not, how will I be capable?
One can notice, one can see.
What?
One can see the hurt remaining, and one can see it distorting further action. But if one remains with the hurt...
No, wait, stop there. To remain with the hurt, what does that mean? Go slowly, tell me. We'll get at this. What does that mean? I remain with my hurt, which means I don't avoid it. I don't run away from it. I am not caught in the explanations why I am hurt. I don't analyze it. Right? So I remain with that hurt, without any movement of thought. Right? Are you following all this? Are you following this?
Yeah, but I don't see how you can stop thinking.
I stop? No. Okay, just listen. You're putting a wrong question. I am concerned with the hurt. And you tell me to look at that hurt. And to be with that hurt. And the implications of being with that hurt, to face it, to be with it, means all the memories with regard to that hurt must come to an end. Otherwise I'm moving away from it. Right? That means the movement of thought has come to an end. To look. To be with what that hurt. Right? No explanations, no examination, no verbal description, which are all movement of thought with regard to that hurt. And they all come to an end if I see the importance of remaining with that hurt without a single movement of thought. Because the hurt is important, not how to stop thought. You get it, okay? Now, can you do that? You've got hurts. I'm sure of it. And can you remain with that hurt without a single movement of thought? This is advanced O-level and X-level of thing. of discipline. Nobody's going to give a degree to you after this. So you have to find out for yourself whether you can remain without a movement with that thought, with that hurt. That's one point. Then, can you stop hurting the brain cells, the brain tissues? No overstimulation. No tremendous excitement. Drugs, smoke, drink, all those do affect the cells, brain. So, can these two, not hurting the brain cell and facing and being free of hurt, can these two move together all your life? You understand what I'm talking? Not just for an hour or two, but all the time, functioning that way. That's being a healthy person.
Sir, I can see that the observer finished off conflict on a certain level, dislike and like, but on another level it seems to continue.
What do you mean? I don't quite follow.
Is the intensity that the observer builds up, is that without duality in itself? Or is it always bound to fall back in the hands of thought?
So that's... Now wait a minute. I don't know if you want to go into this. Have you understood the first what we have talked about? About hurt? Is very clear to you? So that you will never be hurt. Whatever happens. Dependence. When you love somebody, that person doesn't love you. When somebody says you're a fool, that doesn't hurt you. When you find yourself you're not as clever as somebody else, that doesn't hurt you. So that you are really deeply free of hurt. Otherwise, your relationship will always go wrong. Otherwise, you will never be able to see things clearly. You will see with eyes that distort, therefore neurotic. Therefore, conflict, battle in relationship. So if you see all that, if you understand it even verbally, then you can go into it for yourself. As we say, go into it by completely remaining with that hurt, without a single movement of thought which has its associations with the person or with the thing or with the incident that has given hurt. This is really very, very serious. That is, if you want to be serious. Because this is the basis of your life. Unless the foundation of one's life is truly laid, then otherwise things go totally wrong. You may write marvelous books, plays, and become a corrupt politician, whatever it is. It would be terrible if you don't have this. The other thing is, go to the next thing. you ask that question. Our life's activity is based on thought, right? When you plant a tree, everything that we do or don't do is based on thought. Right? Have you noticed that?
Does that mean that the thought precedes this action?
Doesn't it? I have an idea of how I should act. I have an ideal and I approximate action according to that ideal. I have a concept that I should be that, and I act according to that. Or I have been told this is right action, which is a concept, and I act according to that action. I've had great many experiences which is the accumulation of knowledge, and according to that knowledge I act. Are you interested in all this? Huh? You're all very silent. Are you tired? Shall we stop? So my actions are based on the past. I am a Christian or not Christian. If I am a Christian, all my attitudes, my activities, my outlook are conditioned by centuries of propaganda. Right? If I'm a Hindu, again the same phenomenon goes on, or Buddhist or communist, what you will. So, I live in the past. My actions are derived from the past. My outlook is conditioned by the past. The prejudices I have are the result of the past. I think I am an Englishman or an American or a Hindu or an Arab or a Jew because I have been told, so my whole life has its root in the past. And my brain is conditioned according to that. Now, do you want to discuss all the question of what is the brain? I'd like to discuss with you because it's really quite extraordinary. If you're serious and go into it. I'm not an expert, you understand? I'm not a neurologist, nor a brain expert, nor have I read things, nor have I seen on television what they explained the other night about the brain. I'm sorry I didn't see it, unfortunately, but I've gone into it myself a great deal. Perhaps it might be of interest to you. So, what is the brain? What is the mind? What is the brain? What is the mind? What is the heart? You understand? Huh? Come on, sir. Because these are the three things that dominate our lives. The heart is associated with emotions, with affections, with sentiment, with all the sensations and affection, love, and that. And the brain is a series of tissues with their cells which hold memories, conditioned, and that brain has been developing for centuries upon centuries, evolving, growing, learning, accumulated a tremendous lot of knowledge, great experiences, both technological and nonsensical. Right? Are you following all this?
Are you speaking now of the content of the brain, not the brain itself?
Of course, the content, not the brain itself, of course. Now, may I go into it? Are you interested in all this? Really? I'm not. You don't have to be interested. You understand? If you say, I'm bored with this and walk out, I'll walk out too, you see? Is this brain, which is so old, which is so cultivated, which has evolved from the highest form of the apes to what it is now, is the whole of that content conditioned? Do you understand? Is the whole of that the content of the heredity, the genes, the tradition, the accumulated experience of the race, of the family, of the person, all that. You're following all? Or is there a part of the brain which is not touched, which is free, which is new? Brain, I'm using the word brain with its content especially, not the tissues, the content.
A capacity, could one say, a capacity of the brain which is unused?
The capacity of the brain which is not used. Have we used up all the brain? Or is there a part which is not used by the culture, by education, by experience, by knowledge, by relationship, by constant activity, constant thinking, constant struggle, the desire to be something and the failure, the frustrations, the agony, the sorrow, the misery, confusion, all. You understand?
Well, how could we find that out?
We're good.
Is it the physical brain which
We're going to find out, sir. That's the beauty of it. What?
I was asking, is it the physical brain or is it the brain which
I'm talking
feels?
physical brain. The brain. So, look, I've got a brain. You've got a brain. You are educated. You are conditioned by your society in which you live. You are conditioned by the race to which you belong to. You might break away, but you are conditioned. By poverty, by riches, by comparison, by history, by the environment, by the food you eat, by dress, the climate, the whole thing. You understand? Now, is this whole mind, the brain content, has the content occupied the whole brain? You understand what I'm talking?
If I might further on, you're asking whether all this thinking and conditioning, all what we have.
Yes, that's right.
How do you propose to talk
To
about
put,
it?
huh?
How do you propose to talk about it? I think about this, then it's my conditioning. If I think about this,
No, you don't have to think about it. You look at that picture. You don't have to think about it. You look at it. You see the nature of that picture, the color, the depth, the beauty of the flowers, you look. You don't think about it. The moment you think about it, you say, well, who painted it? How much did you pay for it? Why is it there? Why did you put that silver frame round it? Why isn't it darker? You begin to compare, judge, evaluate. That's the function of thought. But to appreciate it, to look at it, to see the inwardness of it, have an insight into that, you must look. Which doesn't mean that thought hasn't its place. Perhaps this little too much. No? All right. It's up to you. You see, meditation comes into this. That's the whole. I don't know if you were capable. Doesn't matter. Huh? You see, I'm terribly interested, personally, to find out, to observe, not think about, observe the ending of thought and what is beyond that. I know what thought is. I'm aware the whole machinery of thinking, the accumulation of knowledge, memory, the response to that memory, which is thought. I know all the mechanism of it. The thought which says me or not me, my country and your country, my wife and not my wife, and so on. Thought, the activity of thought and its actions, the associations of thought, the depth of thought, the shallowness of thought, thought which can be logical, sane, rational, thought which can be illogical, neurotic, stupid, silly, the superficial, and the depth. I know the whole machinery of it. Now I say to me, and this is meditation, I want to see if that machinery can stop and see what happens if there is a part which has never been touched by thought. Or is the whole movement thought? Are you understanding all this? Are you following?
Excuse me. Do you mean all the movement, all the brain is in movement at the same time, or but I think.
Yes, I understand you. Go ahead, put it, doesn't matter what you say, I'll follow it.
Is the brain is est-ce que le cerveau est en mouvement tout en même temps ou
C'est
par
ça.
morceaux?
Ouais, non, tout, voilà. En même temps. That is. You're interested in it, aren't you? May I go on?
Translate what he said, sir.
He says, is it a separate movement or is it a total movement? Not broken up, fragmented. Thought, ending, and something else. Or is it a total movement of the brain? C'est ça, n'est-ce pas?
In the observation of either the clouds outside or the picture, would you include this into this activity of brain?
Of course. If I have no brain, that is, if I have no eyesight, there will be no response to the brain. The brain won't respond. As black, white, purple, whatever it is. After all, the brain cells respond because of vibration of color, all that stuff. I'm not an expert in all that, but you can just see what happens. You understand, Tunke? We've got a problem. The problem is this. Just listen, Tunke. Just listen. Don't agree or just listen. Is the whole field of our activity, the whole field, the movement of thought, including sensation, excitement, pleasure, fear, all the activities, you follow? Love, affection, is all that the movement of thought, let's call that, does that occupy the whole field of the mind? People would say, especially the Westerners, that's all. Every other thing is romanticism, mysticism, idealism, nonsense. That's all silly rubbish. And the Eastern world says, no, my friend, that is not, there is something more. And they begin to speculate about something more. But that speculation is born from thought. You follow? So I said, I scrap both. I want to find out. You understand, Tunke?
If I understand, you're asking whether all of our activities...
No, have you understood what I've said?
I was just going to... I don't quite catch some words of...
I say, all the activity is based on thought, is the movement of thought. Isn't it? When I talk, it is thought, verbalized. When I feel, it is the pain or the pleasure carried through the nerves to the brain and says, nice, it hurts. My sensations, my desires, my wanting to be this or not wanting to be that. The books I write, the painting I do, everything seems to be based on thought. Or the expression of thought. Right, sir? Man has lived in this room, which he calls the mind, thought. Going to the moon, the marvelous surgical operations, the delicate machinery, all that has been put together by thought. The religions have been put together by thought. Jesus, everything is thought. Right? I don't know if you agree. Don't agree. And I say to myself, is there something beyond this room? Or there is no room outside this room?
But is it a true room? Is it something close or?
Room.
Yeah.
I can invent a room beyond that room, this room. You understand, okay? I say there is God, there is the absolute, the infinite, the immeasurable, timeless. That's what people have done. Their God is the image of themselves. You understand? It's not God has created man in his image, but man has created God in his image. You understand all this? So I say to myself, I want to find out. And this requires great attention, great discipline to find out the operations of thought and whether thought can operate and yet be quiet. Operate only when it's necessary, but be quiet at other times. So, okay. Shall I go on? So I am interested to see whether thought, what is the origin of thought? And if I can find out the origin, the ending may be in the origin. You understand? The beginning may be the ending. I wonder if you get all this.
What do you mean by that? I don't understand that.
Huh?
The ending may be in the origin?
Yes.
I don't see what you're saying though.
I don't know either quite. But I think it is like that. I'll tell you.
And what do you mean by origin? You know?
The beginning. The origin of the oak is in the seed, So without the seed, there is no oak.
Okay, the beginning that isn't there now, or the beginning that is
And
there
in
now?
the beginning, it may be the ending.
He's asking if the beginning is there now, or is he looking for some beginning?
No, beginning. The beginning of thought.
But isn't it the whole concept that the thought has a beginning or not?
It's not a concept. Okay, just listen. For me personally, I cannot function in concepts. I don't think in concepts. I don't live on concepts. That's stupid way. That is no reality. Living on hot air.
Then how do I know that there is a beginning of thought?
I said, look, of course there is. I must find out, I said. You people. I must find out the origin, the beginning, the movement of the beginning of thought. It's very simple, isn't it? Don't complicate it.
Each thought or the thought?
It's thought.
There's a whole box.
Thought, not each thought. The thinking. Not separate thinking. There is no separate thinking. Let's put it there. My God, we are getting on, right, sir? There is only thinking. Then fragmentation takes place according to my pleasure, fear, conditioning. There is only thinking. When I say it's my house, that is the separation of thought. When I say it's my wife, my children, my country, my God, it is the fragmentation of thought. I must be better than you, or I am better than you. We are talking about thought, not the fragmentation which thought creates. All right? Really? Because I don't want to control thought. Because who is the controller? Still part of thought. Right? So it's absurd to control thought and say, I will stop it there. I don't know if you're... You see, what I'm talking about is so contrary to Hinduism, Christian, Zen, Buddhism, all of that. Because they all talk about controlling thought. Right, sir? To me, control means conflict. I don't want to live in conflict under any circumstances. So, talking of brain, mind and heart, it's all one really, but we'll separate it. And can this movement of thought, which is time, right? Thought is time. Understand what it? Right? Can thought which is time, thought which is the movement of action, thought which has built this world, the higher scrapers, the 50 floors, going to the moon, building canals, the instruments of war, the planning for war, how to kill somebody, how to love somebody, the hospitals, the nurses, the gods, the rituals, the whole movement is this. And that is based on the past. And that can, the past through the present creates the future. And man says, that's all. You can invent what is more. You can say, well, there is God, there is heaven, there is hell, there is nirvana, there is, you follow? I don't know. There may be, there may not be. As I don't belong to any church, any group, any sect, I have no beliefs in anything. So I say to myself, there can only be something different. I don't know what the difference is. If I understand this whole machinery of thought, the beginning, and if I understand the beginning, I can also understand the ending. Do you understand? So what is the beginning of thought? What time is it? Do you want to go on? You can postpone food? Is it all right? So what is the beginning of thought? It's not very difficult to find out. Don't go and look at books. Find out for yourself.
So the attachment to pain and pleasure.
No, that comes a little late. I said, listen to my question, sir. What is the beginning of thought? How does thought arise?
I think we've just seen it just now.
Huh?
I think we've just seen it when you said, shall we postpone lunch? We had to make a choice, and therefore we have to think.
No, before that.
Do you mean in a new organism?
Huh?
Do you mean in a new organism?
What?
When we are first
Look,
aware of thought?
don't ask me what I mean.
It seems that
Look,
it comes with
listen. What is the beginning of thought? Where is the root of thought? Where does it begin? Now, I asked you that question, right? And you reply. Now, from what source do you reply? What is the background of your reply? Why do you reply?
It seems there's a stimulus and...
I've challenged you. I have challenged you. What's your response? And from what source is your response? It's very simple. Don't complicate it. Keep it simple.
Memory
Isn't it? Huh?
Past memory.
Memory. Right? Right? Now what is memory? Huh?
Is that the only response?
If you have no memory, how would you respond to my question? First, if you're dumb, no tongue, deaf and dumb, and no memory, what would you be? You couldn't reply. You would be non-existent. You would be just mass of flesh, bones or whatever it is. So, he said memory. Now what is memory? Keep it simple.
The past.
No. What is memory? I tell you, you're a nice man. That's it. You registered that, and that becomes memory. I said, you are not a nice man. right? So memory is what? Go on, so it's very simple. You learnt mathematics yesterday. You learnt mathematics yesterday. It is stored up. And the next, if somebody asks you what you learnt, you describe. So, without memory, there is no thought. Right? Right? Don't agree with me, just observe yourself. And that memory is based on your experience. Right? And the experience is accumulated, becomes knowledge. Scientific, business, art, knowledge. Mathematical knowledge, geographical knowledge, historical knowledge, scientific knowledge, biological knowledge, right? Knowledge. Now, the brain has accumulated through centuries upon centuries, the content I'm talking, this extraordinary amount of knowledge. Right? Which is knowledge is the past. And I can project the past knowledge into the future by modifying it. It's still knowledge. And is that all? If that is all, then I'm a prisoner. Then there is only prison. Right? I don't know if you see all this. No, not see. Do you... Is it true to you? No, not what I say. Right? So you live in knowledge, which is the past. So you're always living in time, and which is past. And you think you are free, you follow? All those are unreal. All your choices are based on past. Because you choose, you think you're free. You're not. So, is man merely a movement of the past as time, knowledge, action? Huh? Man realizes this and says, no, I'm not that, I'm God. Right? I am something else. Or there is something else which I must achieve through meditation, through torture, through fasting, through drugs. They have done everything. All based on thought.
I say this is true to me.
What?
I say to you that this is true to me. But how do I know that thought is not deceiving me again?
What is true to you?
Well, all you say. You asked me...
Yes, that is a fact.
Is it true to me? Is it true?
Yes.
But what if I say yes, it's true, or I have the feeling that it's true? How do I know I haven't distorted?
No, you can examine it.
Well, I examine.
Examine your reason.
But I examine
exercise your reason. See how the churches have built on thought. All religions are based on thought. They have gods, they have rituals, their vestments, their hierarchy, and all that business is based on thought. I'm not saying thought is wrong, it's based on thought. All the scientific movement, the accumulation, the going to the moon, living, all the invention is based on thought.
So I think what he's asking is, how can we see whether we still have that thought within us, that the vestiges of those religions and so on?
So you can observe it. It's not that you have it, you can observe.
My thinking makes,
So therefore you have to find out. You have to find out. And to find out, you have to know the movement of thought, how thought operates. Where is its place? I've got a headache from this.
Excuse me, but when I first taste something and it has a certain taste, I don't think it is thought. I mean, now it is thought.
Your first taste of salad and the next mouthful of salad is the movement of thought.
Yes, but
Of
the
course.
first taste is not.
Oh, for God's
I mean,
sake.
the next movement would be to.
First movement is hunger, carried to the brain, and the brain says, I must have food. And you first taste is salad, or fruit, or macaroni. No, you see, this really requires tremendous inward insight and operation. You have to work at it. You have to look at it. You have to look what man has done. Man being man as a thoughtful entity, what he has done. And the mischief he has created. The wars, the destruction, the divisions of Germans, Dutch, French and Germans, the lust and division. The economic exploitation, the poverty, the violence, all that you have is the operation of man, thinking. And he goes round and round in that circle, making it more decorative, more ugly, or more beautiful, but it's still within that field, within that area, within that content. And can there be freedom from knowledge, but yet have knowledge? Otherwise, I'm just a slave. Though I think I'm free because I can choose, I could go from here to London, go from different jobs, or this or that, but I'm a slave, basically.
But as soon as you think that you're not a slave to your thoughts, as soon as you have a feeling you're not a slave to your thoughts, it becomes thought.
Of course.
So I don't see how we can even, to sit here and talk about it is...
But Madam, I haven't talked about it. I have pointed out. I said, look, every movement of life is based on thought.
Yes.
Yes. Investigate it. See what is involved in it.
You make it sound very simple.
What?
You make it sound very simple.
It is simple. unless you want to complicate it. We can complicate it by historical quotations, by all kinds of stuff.
You say that every movement of life is based on thought.
Not that I say. What do you say?
Well, you just said that. I'm just repeating what you said.
Yes.
Now, is every movement
Isn't
of
it?
life
What
based on thought?
What is there any movement which is totally free?
A movement of what?
I just did. Which means is thought free? How can thought be free? Because it's rooted in memory. It is memory, which is the past, which is knowledge, which is time.
So then we've answered the question.
So thought is never free.
Thought is never free.
Not I want, you answer. Thought is never free. Thought is always so. And I go round in that circle.
Can intelligence make thought
And
free?
therefore I must find out what is intelligence. What is intelligence? What it has intelligence in a relationship to thought? Can thought produce intelligence?
Can intelligence produce thought?
So we'll have to ask this question, find out.
But if we say no,
I
if we
think
say all thought
you
is...
can never say no unless you find out. I can say there is no God, and whole Christianity says there is a God. The whole world of communist world says, oh, that's nonsense, bourgeois nonsense.
So how can you know you find out?
Therefore, to find out, what does it mean? You must abandon all belief of which man has created about God.
But if I want to find out, I will be hurt, because I will be burn my fingers on what is not, on my mistakes and my interpretations and my solutions.
There is no need for interpretation, no need for burning one's fingers. Observe what is happening around you. How a whole group of the people call themselves Hindus. Why? And a whole group of people call themselves Christians, communists, Buddhists, Muslims. Why? Propaganda, right? Propaganda, isn't it? What are you hesitating? My son is told he's a Muslim. And he says, I am a Muslim. Baptism makes you a Christian. And he is baptized, and for the rest of life he is Christian. And the communist says, nonsense, there is no such thing. And so on and on and on.
What do you mean by observe? You say observing is when you don't think.
Observe, listen to a Catholic, listen to a Hindu, listen to the modern yogis, gurus with their disciples. You see what's happening.
Do you think in observation? I mean, if you think, then it will be the same thing.
So by looking, I don't have to repeat this. You know what's happening in the world.
Yes, about the observation. It might.
If you
be one of the
observe,
activities.
so if I as a Hindu observe this whole world, I still remain a Hindu. I say, yes, perfectly right, I'm a Hindu. I don't see the absurdity of calling myself a Hindu or a Christian.
Yes, but when I observe this phenomena as I observe the flower or pot over there, or the flower as it is, then there's no forms of this past influence in it.
What do you mean?
Yes,
I don't understand what you're talking.
I mean,
so when you look at that flower, can you look at it without knowledge of that flower? Don't call it a rhododendron.
well, yes.
Don't call it white, purple,
green.
green. Just look at it without the association of various instructions about that flower. Just look. We must stop because it's lunchtime and all the rest of it. We can continue on Sunday. But it's really an extraordinarily important, and if you can unravel, it's the most beautiful thing on earth if you can do it. And that implies that a mind can be free, and being free, only it can observe. And that requires tremendous inward discipline. I'm using discipline quite differently. Not suppression, control, imitation, conformity, all that. But freedom to learn, to observe. It's so